When you hear the name Sisqó, chances are you instantly think of one thing: Thong Song. That explosive, chart-topping, club-rocking anthem of the early 2000s became a cultural phenomenon, cementing Sisqó's place in pop and R&B history. But just as fast as he ascended, he all but vanished from the mainstream spotlight. While some chalk it up to the difficulty of matching the success of such a massive hit, others believe Sisqó's fall was far more sinister. Industry beefs, lawsuits, internal label sabotage, and rumors of predatory gatekeepers seeking more than just a hit record may have all contributed to his sudden decline. So what really happened to the silver-haired dragon of R&B? Let's take it all the way back. Dru Hill to Dragonfly Sisqó, born Mark Althevin Andrews, first gained fame as the lead singer of the R&B group Dru Hill, a Baltimore-based quartet that gave us emotional hits like In My Bed, Never Make a Promise, and How Deep Is Your Love. With his powerful voice, high-energy performances, and eye-catching blonde hair, Sisqó quickly emerged as the breakout star. After fellow group member Woody decided to go solo in 1999, the label allowed each member of Dru Hill to explore their own musical path. Sisqó seized the opportunity and dropped his debut solo album, Unleash the Dragon, in late 1999 under Def Soul Records. At first, the album saw moderate success, but everything changed when he released its second single, The Birth of the Thong Song. According to Sisqó himself, the creation of the Thong Song was pure accident and humor. He recounted that a friend jokingly shouted out, "Thong, the thong, thong, thong," after a wild night with a woman. The phrase stuck with him. He was working on a new track and decided to throw the line in. At first, just for laughs, but the joke became a jackpot. When the song dropped in the early 2000s, it exploded. The beat, which included a haunting string section, often mistakenly credited to a sample of Eleanor Rigby, but in reality, original production, combined with Sisqó's falsetto, energetic delivery, and unforgettable hook, was like nothing else on radio at the time. Thong Song skyrocketed to #1, 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, and became one of the defining tracks of the year. The accompanying music video, which featured Sisqó doing acrobatics on a beach surrounded by bikini-clad women, became iconic. Sisqó had arrived as a solo star. The lawsuit that cut deep. But while the song was a smash hit, it also opened the door to a major legal headache. At the end of every verse in the Thong Song, Sisqó sings, "She had dumps like a truck, thighs like what, all night long. Let me see that thong," followed by the line, "She was livin' la vida loca." That phrase, "livin' la vida loca," belonged to another artist entirely, Ricky Martin, and it turns out using it without clearing it first was a costly mistake. According to industry reports, Sisqó insisted at the time that he had a personal relationship with Desmond Child, the original songwriter of Livin' La Vida Loca, and that it wouldn't be an issue. But when the song exploded, Martin's team considered legal action. The result? Sisqó and his team settled out of court, but the real cost was the publishing rights. Desmond Child ended up owning the majority of the Thong Song, cutting deeply into the royalties Sisqó would otherwise have earned from his biggest hit. That decision still haunts his financial legacy to this day. A target in the industry. Despite the setbacks, Sisqó was expected to ride the momentum and continue delivering hits. But soon his presence in the mainstream started to fade. What happened? Behind the scenes, Sisqó says he refused to play the game, the fame game, the politics game, and especially the dirty game. In interviews over the years, including with Noisy and ABC News, he's been candid about the pressure artists face to sell out and conform to industry demands. "I didn't want to sell out to stay in front of the camera," he said. "That's phony. I'll take the long way and see you on the other side." Sisqó claims he was blackballed for putting his integrity first. Instead of accepting the handlers and collaborators the label wanted to assign him, he hired his friends and family. Instead of feeding the machine, he tried to create a homegrown empire, a Robin Hood mission from the streets of Baltimore. But that didn't sit well with execs who wanted total control. Sisqó recalled his conflict with label heads when he insisted on using his own people in the studio. "I was doing the best I could to feed my family, bring the money back to Baltimore," he told Oprah. "Me and the label just started bumping heads because I was, quote, hard to work with." That label, Def Jam, one of the biggest powerhouses in the business. Industry beef and the R. Kelly problem. Then came a storm of public beefs. Most notably, R. Kelly, another dominant R&B force of the time, took aim at Sisqó. In 2002, Kelly released diss tracks mocking Sisqó's solo efforts and accused him of biting his style. At the time, many fans didn't understand the tension, but those in the know say Sisqó was making waves by refusing to play politics and by directly challenging untouchables like Kelly. Sisqó fired back, accusing R. Kelly and Nas of trying to suppress his career. He claimed that a whisper campaign was launched to discredit him and block his opportunities. Looking back now, in light of the avalanche of criminal allegations and convictions R. Kelly would later face, one can't help but wonder if Sisqó saw something he wasn't supposed to see, or knew something he wasn't supposed to say. Either way, going up against someone with Kelly's clout in the early 2000s was risky. And for Sisqó, it may have marked the start of his quiet exile from major airplay. Rumors, rejection, and industry predators. Another layer to the story involves disturbing rumors about the price some artists were asked to pay for continued fame. By the mid-2000s, the music industry was awash with whispers that powerful executives and gatekeepers were making advances toward young male artists. Allegedly, some careers were made or broken based on whether artists submitted, either literally or figuratively. With his flamboyant style, bleached blonde hair, and bold fashion, Sisqó became a walking contradiction in a hyper-masculine R&B era. He was often ridiculed, even by fellow artists, for being sus or too extra. But in hindsight, his image wasn't much different from many modern stars who are now celebrated for similar aesthetics. The difference? Sisqó came too soon and allegedly said no. There's long been speculation that his refusal to engage with certain industry favors led to quiet retaliation. If true, that would mean his style, talent, and spirit weren't the problem. His refusal to comply was. Lawsuits and losses. On top of all the industry politics, Sisqó also faced significant legal and financial challenges. One notable lawsuit involved 27 Red Music, a company he had hired to collect royalties on his behalf from his Dru Hill and solo work. Sisqó claimed the company withheld more than $600,000 in royalties and sought an additional $3 million in punitive damages. That's no small amount for any artist, let alone one who lost the majority of the rights to his biggest hit. Add to that reports of baby mama drama, including a child born during one of his early tours, and Sisqó's public image became increasingly messy. What was once a fun-loving R&B heartthrob now seemed like a troubled artist losing control of his brand. Sisqó's quiet persistence. Though he never regained the commercial heights of 2000, Sisqó didn't stop working. He made appearances in films like Snow Dogs, Get Over It, Pieces of April, and Surf School. He even popped up in sitcoms and reality shows, keeping one foot in the entertainment world. In 2015, he finally attempted a musical comeback, dropping a new solo album, his first in over a decade. But by then, the industry had changed drastically. Streaming ruled the landscape, and the album came and went with little fanfare. Sisqó admitted the struggle, telling Vlad TV that trying to return after such a long gap made him feel like a brand new artist. When asked if the Thong Song success financed the 13-year gap, he chuckled and said, "Well, technically, I didn't have to go to work, if that's what you're asking." That was his way of saying he made it, just not in the way people expected. Ahead of his time. In hindsight, it's clear that Sisqó was far ahead of his era. His style, sound, and stage presence foreshadowed the flamboyance now embraced by many male artists across genres. The very things he was mocked for, painted nails, eccentric fashion, vocal acrobatics, are now celebrated by fans of artists like Lil Nas X, Bad Bunny, and even Harry Styles. So why did Sisqó get torn down for what others are now praised for? As simple, timing and control. In the early 2000s, the industry was rigid and policed. Authentic individuality wasn't celebrated, it was feared. Sisqó broke the mold and paid the price. The real exposure Sisqó may have built his brand singing about revealing clothing, but ironically, it's what he refused to expose that likely led to his downfall. By declining to play along with the industry's darkest games, whether political, sexual, or financial, he became a threat to the system. And when artists become threats, they often disappear. Not because they lack talent, but because they won't bend to invisible forces. Was Sisqó punished for protecting himself? Was his flamboyance used as a weapon against him in a world that wasn't ready to embrace his style? Or was he simply caught in the crosshairs of bad timing, bad luck, and bad business? Whatever the answer, Sisqó remains a cultural icon, not just because of Thong Song, but because of what he stood for behind the scenes: integrity, authenticity, and the courage to say no. Final thoughts. The Legend of the Dragon. Sisqó's story is a cautionary tale and a hidden triumph all at once. He may not have a dozen platinum records or be headlining Coachella today, but his impact echoes through time. He set a tone, sparked a movement, and challenged an industry that demanded compliance. And while he might have laughed all the way to the bank with Thong Song, the real story isn't about underwear. It's about an artist who dared to be himself and paid for it. So what really happened to Sisqó? Maybe he didn't fall off. Maybe he just refused to play the game, and in doing so, flew higher than the industry could handle.